All right, time to look at a couple homework problems together. So we have this formula that we're still using of 1/2 ASN for our area. Now, sometimes, like in this problem, it's nice and easy. This doesn't happen very often. Because in this problem, you know all the pieces of information. You can just plug in the numbers. How many sides does it have? It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sides. The side length, that's over here. It's 13.4. And the apothem, that's right here. It's 18.4. Okay, and remember, the apothem needs to be dropped down perpendicular to the middle of the opposite side. That's how you know it's an apothem. It's got to be dropped down perpendicular like this. So down here, this is not an apothem because it's not dropped down to the center of the side. It's dropped down to a corner, to the vertex. Okay, but then you would plug in all the numbers. 1/2 the apothem, which is 18.4, times the side length, which is 13.4, times the number of sides, which is 9. Plug that all in, get it out in the calculator. Now, most of the time, it's not going to be that easy. The steps that you're going to have to follow are, first, you're going to write out the given information. So which things do you know? Secondly, you're going to solve for the pieces that you don't know. And that's going to involve getting the central angle so that you can use trig, sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, and the way we find the central angle is take 360 divided by the number of sides. 360 divided by n. So that we have an angle that we can use trig with. That should give you the info that you need, and then you can just plug in to the formula. Okay, there's a lot of details in these problems, but I want to make sure you don't lose the big picture of what we're doing. So here's an example. It's Pentagon, so it's got 5 sides, so we know that. Here's 8. It is a side length. It's the length of one of the sides. So the apothem is what we don't know. Check. We've written out the given information. Next step, we're going to find the central angle. So we want to draw. To do this, we're going to draw a triangle. And we're going to draw the same triangle every time. We did this when we first looked at the notes. Draw the triangle from draw it to a corner, draw it to a corner, drop down the height. Oh, this height is our apothem. Now, if I were over here, I've already drawn to one of the corners, so I can just draw to the other corner and drop down the height. And here would be my apothem. But over here, our aim is to get this angle. Central angle. We're going to take 360 and divide it by our number of sides, which is 5, which gives us 72. And we're going to cut that in half. Always cut it in half. The reason we're cutting it in half is because 360 divided by number of sides gives me this bigger angle. Okay, this angle right here. And I just want this piece, and that will give me 36 degrees. That means this angle is 36. Central angle, check. Now we're going to use trig. And this piece is 4, and this piece is 4, because this splits the side in half. This height that I dropped down splits the side in half. It's important to remember that when we do these problems. So if I draw this triangle out separately, I've got a 36-degree angle. I have this piece being 4, and I have this A that I don't know, which happens to be my adjacent. It's touching the angle. And then 4 is my opposite. It's across from the 36. Oh, opposite and adjacent? That's tangent. So I'm going to use tangent of 36 of my angle, tangent of the angle, equals opposite, which is 4, over adjacent, which I don't know yet. Multiply by what's on the bottom to get rid of the fraction. Don't forget that this is all in the broader context of trying to figure out what this is. And then we'll plug it into the formula to get out our answer. So we want to get rid of multiplying by dividing by tangent of 36. And then we get a equals 4 over tangent of 36. Put that in the calculator, and we get about 5.5. Now I'm going to keep that exact answer in the calculator to get my answer. But keep in mind, if we were in class and I was talking towards a test, then I would be picky and I would talk about how I'm expecting rounding and how I'm looking at keeping the answer exact and all that kind of stuff. Circumstances being what they are, I'm not going to be really picky on that. As long as you're in the right ballpark and keeping your numbers consistent when you write them down, then you should be okay. And we've used our trig. Check. Finally, we're going to plug it into the formula. Area equals 1/2 the apothem, which is 5.5, times your side length, which is 8, times your number of sides, which is 5. So I'm going to get that out of the calculator real quick. You should get about 110.11 units squared. And we're done. Again, if your rounding's a little bit off, then don't worry too much about it. Let's start one more problem from this worksheet. I won't do the whole thing, but I want to get it started so that you can see a little bit of a different type of problem. Number of sides, it's got 6 of them. And we don't have A or S, right? This is not the apothem because it's not dropped down the height like this. Here's my apothem. Draw to another corner, we've got our triangle. So that's all our given information that we know. Now, if I want to draw out my triangle here, I need to get the central angle first. So before I go on, see if you can get what the central angle is. Answer coming in 3, 2, 1. Did you get 30? I hope you did. It should be 30 degrees because you're cutting it in half after you do 360 divided by number of sides. Central angle, check. Use trig. Now, I will say on this one that you can use a 30, 60, 90 triangle since I got a 38 degree angle if you want. If you know your 30, 60, 90 shortcut, use it. But I'm going to use trig. This time, I know the hypotenuse. And I'm trying to solve for, well, both of these. I'm trying to solve for the opposite. So if I want opposite and hypotenuse, I'm actually going to use sine to solve for this one. And that's going to be opposite over hypotenuse. And then to solve for the adjacent, you're going to use cosine. I won't go through that whole process, but I will tell you what you should get. Answer coming in 3, 2, 1. I'm getting 584.567. One thing to keep in mind is that once you solve for this piece, remember how I talked about how we split this side down the middle? So to get S, you need to double whatever it is you get for X here. So once you solve this equation, you need to double it up here to get the actual side length. And I'll look at that in another problem that we go through.